ललिता श्री हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाशत्ताय शतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Ribo. Okay, so we continue from chapter 14, Bhakti as Ultimate Liberation, text 31. Okay. Maitreya uvacha vidivartam kapilo matur ittam jata sneho yatra tanva bijataha tatvam yat pravadanti sankyam pravacha vai bhakti vitana yogam. Translation. Sri Maitreya said, after hearing his mother's statement, Kapila could understand her purpose, and he became compassionate toward her because of having been born from her body. He then described the Sankhya system of philosophy, which is combination of devotional service and mystic realization, as received by disciplic succession. Purport. The philosophy propounded by the atheist Kapila is an analysis of the material elements and is very much appreciated by Western philosophers. The Sankhya Yoga explained by Lord Kapila Deva, the son of Devahuti, is practically unknown in the West. The Sankhya Yoga propounded herein is actually bhakti. It is stated here that the proper way to receive this knowledge is by disciplic succession, not by philosophical speculation. Speculation is an improper way to understand the absolute truth. Generally, Western philosophers try to understand the absolute truth by the ascending process of mental speculation. This is the process of inductive logic. The other process is the descending process, and this is the parampara process. By this method, knowledge descends from a higher source. Hare Krishna. Prabhu, you can continue. Haribo.
In Bhagavad Gita, many yoga systems are explained, but Bhakti Yoga system is considered the highest of all. Ultimately, all yogas end in Bhakti Yoga. The ultimate conclusion of Yajna Yoga, Hatha Yoga, is Bhakti Yoga. In the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Hatha Yoga system of meditation is explained, and Arjuna, who was highly elevated, said that he could not concentrate his mind in this way. In the Hatha Yoga system, if the Hatha Yoga system was so difficult 5,000 years ago for persons who are so for a person so elevated that he was Krishna's friend, how is it possible today? Arjuna frankly said that this system of yoga is impossible to execute because the mind is difficult to control as the wind. Hatha yoga system is basically meant for those who are overly attached to the body. Otherwise, the preferred yoga is Sankhya yoga or Bhakti yoga. When Arjuna told Sri Krishna that Hatha yoga system was too difficult to execute, the Lord pacified him by saying the first class yogi is the one who is always thinking of me. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 47. Arjuna did not know anything but Krishna, and Arjuna did not know anything but Krishna, and Arjuna requested that Krishna was present on his side in the battle. When Duryodhana approached Krishna with Arjuna and requested him to take his side, Krishna said, I have 18 military divisions. These divisions will take one side, and I personally will take another. However, I will not fight in this battle. First, Arjuna thought it was to take the 18 divisions with their many thousands of elephants and horses, but then he considered that if he simply had Krishna on his side, that would be sufficient. He would not need ordinary soldiers. Duryodhana, on the other hand, decided that Krishna's soldiers decided to take Krishna's soldiers. Thus, in order to pacify Arjuna, Krishna told him not to worry, although he could not execute the Astanga yoga system. The first class yogi is he who always thinks of me. One should always remember that Krishna is within the heart and think of him. This is the proper system of meditation. If he always chants Hare Krishna mantra, we will always remember Krishna, and immediately the form of Krishna will be awakened within our hearts. The process of always thinking of Krishna is the process of Krishna consciousness. The first class yogi is he who is always conscious of Krishna. One can be conscious of Krishna by hearing about him submissively. We have to accept Krishna through disciplic succession. There are 4 sampradayas, disciplic succession. One comes from Lord Brahma Sampradaya, and another comes from Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. Sri Sampradaya. There are also the Kumar Sampradaya and the Rudra Sampradaya. At the present moment, the Brahma Sampradaya is represented by Madhava Acharya. Hold on, yeah, there you go, Madhava Acharya, and we belong to Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya. Our original Sampradaya stems from Madhava Acharya. In that Sampradaya, there was Mandavrindapuri, and Mandavrindapuri disciples was Sri Ishwarapuri. Sri Ishwarapuri disciple was Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thus, we are coming in disciplic succession from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and therefore our sampradaya is called Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya. It is not that we have manufactured a sampradaya, rather our sampradaya stems from Lord Brahma. There is also a Ramanuja Sampradaya, which comes from Sri Sampradaya, and there is a Vishnu Swami Sampradaya, which comes from the Rudra Sampradaya. The Nambhatiya Sampradaya, which comes from the Kumara Sampradaya. If we do not belong to any Sampradaya, our conclusion is fruitless. It is not that one should think that I'm a big scholar and I can interpret Bhagavad Gita on my own, in my own way. All these Sampradayas are useless. We cannot manufacture our own comments. There are many commentaries made in this way and they are all useless. They have no effect. We have to accept the philosophy as it was contemplated by Lord Brahma, Narada, Madhavacharya, Mandavrindapuri, Ishwarapuri. When these great acharyas are beyond the imperfection of so-called scholars, mundane scientists and philosophers use the words perhaps or maybe because they cannot arrive at a proper conclusion. They are simply speculating, and mental speculation cannot be perfect.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, you can continue. I just copied that.
Ah, okay. Oh, I can't see it right now. Okay, there you go. Bhakti yoga is at the topmost stairs of all yogas. First step is karma yoga, then jnana yoga, and dhyana yoga. When the ultimate is bhakti yoga, everyone is trying to reach the ultimate absolute truth. But the other yogas, yogas, and in a partial understanding, The understanding derived from Bhakti Yoga is complete, and even if partially executed, it has potency. It is also recommended by the great Mahajanas, like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Kapila Deva. Since the path of perfection is very difficult to understand, the Sastras recommend that we follow Mahajanas, who are thus described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, chapter 3, verse 20. Swayam Bhir Narata Sambhu Kumara Kapilo Manu Praladho Janako Pismo Laptir Vas Kirvayam. Another name for Lord Brahma is Swayam Bhavu, because he was born from the lotus flower emanating from the navel of Lord Vishnu, and since he was not born of a father and mother, he was therefore called Swayambhu. Narada Muni is also called Mahajana, and Swayambhu is Shambhu is Lord Shiva. Kumara refers to the four Kumaras: Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana, Sanatana, Sanat Kumar. And there are 12 authorities following the Sankhya philosophy or Bhakti Yoga. And these include Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Kapila, Manu, Bhishma Deva, Janaka, Maharaj, Sukadeva, Goswami, and Prahlad Maharaj. If we simply accept one of these Mahajanas, we'll be successful in understanding the absolute truth. But if we try to understand the absolute truth by logic and argument, we will ultimately be frustrated. One philosopher may be better logician than another, and another philosophical argument may counteract another. But this process goes on and on. It is simply a useless waste of time. Even if we approach the Vedic scriptures, there are difficulties. There are so many scriptures: Veda, Rig Veda, Samaveda, Atta Veda, the Upanishads, the Puranas, the Brahma Samhita, the Brahma Suti, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and so forth. Different people read them and arrived at different conclusions. There are also the Bible and the Quran. According to so many different men, there are so many interpretations. One philosopher defeats another philosopher on the basis of scripture, and it is even stated that one cannot become a rishi, a philosopher, unless one propounds a different system of philosophy. Hold on a second. Yeah, my phone is. There you go. I want to take a screenshot because that's like a perfect. Yeah, there you go. So, you bring it back real quick. There you go. All right. So, Nav Shri Rishi Yas Matam Na Bin Nam. Thus, the truth of spiritual life is very complicated and difficult to understand. The conclusion is that one should follow one of these 12 Mahajanas in order to be successful. Krishna is the original Mahajana. He has instructed Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is also a Mahajana. Actually, Krishna instructed everyone in Bhagavad Gita, and thus everyone has learned from Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, chapter 1, verse 1, it is also stated, Tene Brahma Hitaya Adikavaya. Thus, Krishna gives his personal instructions, just as Kapila Deva gave his personal instruction. There's no contradiction between Krishna's philosophy in Bhagavad Gita and Kapila Deva's philosophy. We need only to receive the transcendental knowledge through the Mahajanas, and the result will be beneficial. Kapila Deva explains, that last page really kills that that argument. like there's so many yatapat yatamat. You know that saying?
Yes, Prabhu.
That Bengali saying? It's like because that was so annoying. Like whenever someone's like, "Well, it's not said in the Bible,"
Yeah.
so you got to basically approach a what is it? You gotta approach someone who knows the scriptures, who knows the end of all scriptures.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. So I think I'm done here. Huh?
Where did the book go here? Oh, Hare Krishna, Dimitri Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Dimitri Prabhu, Pranam Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Prabhupada.
Prabhu, you can continue.
Which Prabhu? Me?
Either one. That's fine. You can do rock, paper, scissors or something.
Yeah, I'll continue this one.
Yes, Prabhu.
And let's see. Sankhya philosophy to his mother, and although he had a natural affection for his mother, he should not think that Devahuti was an ordinary woman. She was very submissive, and when Kapila Deva saw this, he became very compassionate. He saw he sorry, my phone is for some reason spazzing out. He saw that she was eager to know the absolute truth, and he considered that after all, he had received his body from her. Therefore, he concluded that he shall try to give her the ultimate conclusion of philosophical knowledge, which is the Sankhya philosophy. There you go. Shri Bhagavan Vacha. Oh, you can do. All right.
Oh, can I continue?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, bro.
Oh, thank you, bro. Okay. Shri Bhagavan Vacham Devanam Gunalinganam Anushray Vika Karmanam Sattva Evaika Manaso Vrittihi Svabhaviki Tuya Animita Bhagavati Bhaktihi Sithir Gariyasi. Translation. Lord Kapila said, the senses are symbolic representations of the demigods, and their natural inclination is to work under the direction of the Vedic injunctions. As the senses are representatives of the demigods, so the mind is the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The mind's natural duty is to serve. When that spirit of service is engaged in devotion to the Personality of Godhead without any motive, that is far better than salvation. Purport. The senses of the living entity are always engaged in some occupation, either in activities prescribed in the Vedic injunctions or in material activities. The natural inclination of the senses is to work for something, and the mind is the center of the senses. The mind is actually the leader of the senses, therefore, it is called sattva. Similarly, the leader of the all demigods who are engaged in the activities of this material world, in managing the sun, moon, etc., is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is stated in the Vedic literature that the demigods are different limbs of the universal body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Our senses are also controlled by different demigods. Our senses are representations of various demigods, and the mind is the representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The senses, led by the mind, act under the influence of the demigods. When the service is ultimately aimed at the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the senses are in their natural position. The Lord is called Hrishikesha, for he is actually the proprietor and ultimate master of the senses. The senses and the mind are naturally inclined to work, but when they are materially contaminated, they work for some material benefit or for the service of the demigods, although actually they are meant to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The senses are called Hrishika, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called Hrishikesha. Indirectly, all the senses are naturally inclined to serve the Supreme Lord. That is called Bhakti. Kapila Deva said that in devotional service the senses, without desire for material profit or other selfish motives, are engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That spirit of service is far better than siddhi, salvation. Bhakti, the inclination to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is in a transcendental position far superior to mukti or liberation. Thus, bhakti is the stage after liberation. Unless one is liberated, one cannot, either in material activities of sense gratification or in the activities of the Vedic injunctions, there is some motive. But when the same senses are engaged in the service of the Lord without ulterior motive, that is called animitta and is the natural inclination of the mind. The conclusion is that when the mind, undeviated either by Vedic injunctions or by material activities, is fully engaged in Krishna consciousness or devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is situated far above mere liberation from material entanglement. Bhakti devotional service is transcendental even to mukti liberation. Generally, people are concerned with dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. In the beginning, there is dharma, religion, then artha, economic development, kama, sense gratification, then moksha, merging into the Supreme One. However, bhakti is above all these. Mukti is not very important for a bhakta. In the words of Bilva Mangal Thakur, Muktihi Swayam Muktilitanjali Sevate Smat. Mukti herself is standing with the folded hands, waiting to serve the devotee. Krishna Karnamrita 107. Haribol.
Hare Krishna. This is the experience of Bilva Mangala Thakur, who was a very rich South Indian Brahmana. Due to bad association, Bilva Mangala Thakur became a very staunch prostitute hunter, and he spent all his money on a prostitute named Chintamani. One night, during a terrible rainstorm, Bilva Mangala went to see Chintamani, but the prostitute was thinking, surely tonight Bilva Mangala will not come. This is a terrible storm. Nonetheless, Bilva Mangala came despite all difficulties. Somehow he managed to cross the raging river, and when he saw the gates of Chintamani's house closed, he somehow managed to jump over them. Despite all the dangers, he reached Chintamani's house, and the prostitute, being very astonished, said, "How is it you have come tonight? Oh, you are so attracted to this skin. If you just had this much attraction for Krishna, it would certainly be to your benefit." Bilva Mangala then immediately left the prostitute's house and went to Vrindavan. The fact was that in his previous life he had executed devotional service up to Bhava Bhakti. Thus the prostitute Chintamani actually became his guru. While in Vrindavan, Bilva Mangala Thakur wrote a book named Krishna Karnamrita, which is being recommended by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In that book, Bilva Mangala Thakur writes, "If we have devotion fixed on you, my Lord Bhagavan, then we can easily see your divine form as Kaishara Murti, a young boy." Another name for Krishna is Kaishara. The word Kaishara refers to the age before marriage. That is, it refers to a boy between the ages of 11 and 16. Sri Krishna is always Kaishara Murti. By devotional service, one can see the Kaishara Murti of Krishna very easily. When Bilva Mangala Thakur was going to Vrindavan, he was still attracted to women. One night he stayed at the house of a very rich merchant, and the merchant's wife told her husband that Bilva Mangala Thakur was attracted to her. She asked her husband what to do, and the merchant simply said, "Serve him." Finally, Bilva Mangala Thakur came to his senses and he thought, "These eyes are my enemies." When the beautiful woman approached him, Bilva Mangala Thakur said, "Mother, please give me the pins out of your hair. I am very mad after the beauty of woman, so let me pluck out my eyes." In this way he blinded himself. Although he could not see, in Vrindavan he was supplied milk by Krishna himself. Thus he personally realized Krishna through bhakti and wrote of his personal experience. He wrote, "Mukti is not a very important thing. She is always at my service with folded hands saying, 'My dear sir, what can I do for you?' Thus a devotee is not very anxious for mukti because he is already liberated. If a man has $1 million, Why should he hanker after 10 rupees? 10 rupees. Bhakti should be animitta, without motive. Actually, Krishna can fulfill all our wishes without difficulty because he is almighty and full of all opulences. If we want material happiness from Krishna, it is certainly not difficult for him to grant it. He can also give us mukti, liberation, but it is foolishness to ask anything from Krishna except bhakti. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say that asking God for mukti or anything else other than bhakti is like going to a rich man and asking for ashes. There is another story about an old woman who was carrying a bundle of dry wood through the forest. Somehow or other, the bundle, which was very heavy, fell to the ground. The old woman became very disturbed and thought, "Who will help put this bundle back on my head?" She then began to call on God, saying, "God help me." Suddenly, God appeared and said, "What do you want?" She said, "Please help me put this bundle back on my head." So this is our foolishness. When God comes to give us some benediction, we simply ask him to load us down again with all these material bundles. We ask him for more material things, for a happy family, for a large amount of money, for a new car, or whatever. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches us that we should only beg God for his service life after life. This is the actual meaning of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. When we are chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, we are actually addressing God and his energy. Hara, his energy, Hara. Hara is Krishna's internal potency, Srimati Radharani or Lakshmi. Jaya Radhe. This is Daivi Prakriti, and the devotees take shelter of the Daivi Prakriti, Srimati Radharani. Thus, the Vaishnavas worship Radha Krishna, Lakshmi Narayana, and Sitaram. In the beginning of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we first address the internal energy of the Lord, Krishna, Hare. Thus we say, O Radharani, O Hare, O energy of the Lord. When we address someone in this way, we usually say, "Yes, what do you want?" That answer is, "Please engage me in your service." This should be our prayer. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We should not say, "Oh energy, oh Krishna, please give me money. Please give me a beautiful wife. Please give me many followers. Please give me some prestigious position. Please give me presidency." These are all material hankerings which should be avoided. Lord Buddha advocated that we give up all material desires. It is not possible to become desireless, but it is possible to give up material desires. It is the nature of the living entity to desire. It's not possible to be desireless. If one is desireless, he is dead. Desirelessness means purifying one's desire, and desire is purified when we only desire the service of Krishna. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches, Natinam Najanam Nasunim Kavitava Jagadeshagamaye Mama Jamani Swari Bhavita Bhakti Hetaki Twaye. O my Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. Chaitanya Slok number 4. He requested Lord Krishna's service, birth after birth. It is not that he is seeking salvation. Rather, he simply wants to serve Krishna one life after another. The devotees are not anxious to merge into the existence of the Supreme. The Buddhist philosophy advocates nirvana, the negotiation of all material desires. Buddha does not offer more than this. Sankhya gives a little more, saying that we should become desireless and in this material world, and then enter into the Brahman effulgence, which is called Brahma Nirvana. According to Vaishnava philosophy, however, we should negate material desires and be situated on the Brahman platform. But in addition, we should engage in devotional service of the Lord. This is called bhakti. Madhava, Mayavadi philosophers cannot understand this, but Krishna says that this devotional service is on the transcendental platform. Sankhya philosophy of the atheist Kapila, which is material philosophy, is simply the study of 24 elements. However, the real Sankhya philosophy, propounded by Kapila Deva, is transcendental to the 24 elements and material activity. Thus, the Sankhya philosophy, which is actually Bhakti Yoga, there's no desire for material benefits. On the platform, a person works for his own personal sense gratification. For some expanded sense gratification, one may work for himself, family, wife, children, society, community, nations, or humanity at large. This is simply expanded sense gratification. Whether one steals for himself, family, community, or whatever, the fact remains that he is a thief. It is said that when Alexander the Great arrested a common thief, the thief told Alexander, "What's the difference between you and between us? I'm a small plunderer, and you are a great plunderer." Being very sensible, Alexander released him, saying, "Yes, there's no difference." Regardless whether the sense gratification is for oneself, one's family, one's nation, or whatever, it is, after all, sense gratification. The quality changes only when we work for the sense gratification for Krishna. Of Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. It is noteworthy that Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam never states that Krishna Uvacha, Krishna says, or Kapila Deva Uvacha, Kapila Deva says. Rather, it states Bhagavan Uvacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead says. This means that the version is perfect. If we receive knowledge from an ordinary man, there will be many defects. An ordinary person is subject to illusion, and he also has the tendency to cheat. Although an ordinary person may be a very advanced scholar, he does not possess perfect knowledge. Perfection is something totally different from what we find in the material world. Perfection means that there is no mistake, no illusion, no cheating, no imperfection. Therefore, it is stated, Bhagavan Vacha, for Bhagavan is all perfect. We should therefore take knowledge from Bhagavan, or from one who speaks according to the version of Bhagavan. The Krishna consciousness movement is based on this principle. We are not presenting anything that we ourselves could manufacture. Whatever we manufacture is sure to be defective or deficient. What is the value of my philosophy? What is the value of my thought? Generally, people say, in my opinion, thinking that my opinion really means something. People do not think I am simply a rascal. People value their opinion thinking it's something very big. Everyone in this material world has imperfect senses. Therefore, whatever knowledge has been gathered through the senses is necessarily imperfect. As we have stressed over and over, we have to receive knowledge from the disciplic succession. Knowledge has to be received from Bhagavan, the perfect one. If we simply follow this system, we can become a guru for the whole world. Wow. The devotee never thinks that he is a great bhakta. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita, has stated, Puri Shera Kita Haite Munye Salaghishta. I am lower than the worms in the stool. Adi Lila 5, chapter 205. This is the Vaishnava conception. A Vaishnava is by nature very humble. He never says, I am the supreme. I have become God. Krishna says, I am God. Worship me. The Vaishnava says, Krishna is God. Worship Krishna. Exactly just like the last short where Srila Prabhupada was asked, can you show me Vishwarup?
Yes, Ravu.
It is not difficult. Yeah, it is not difficult to become a guru provided that we repeat. It is not difficult to become a guru, provided that we repeat what Krishna says. Whatever Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita is dharma. Dharma is one, it cannot be different. Dharma means abiding by the orders of God. However, if we do not know God or His orders, we can only set about manufacturing some rubbish and fighting among ourselves. This is not dharma, but philosophical speculation. All of this speculation and manufactured dharma has been kicked out of Srimad Bhagavatam because it is all cheating. Bhagavata dharma is not cheating, for it is related to the Supreme Lord. Bhakti can be applied only to Bhagavan, and if there is no Bhagavan, there is no Bhakti. If Bhagavan is zero, where is Bhakti? Bhakti is the transaction between Bhagavan and the Bhakta. Bhagavan is there, and Bhaktas are there. And the Bhaktas address Bhagavan, feed Bhagavan, chant Bhagavan's names, invoke people to hear about Bhagavan, publish book about Bhagavan, and worship Bhagavan. And in this way, they are constantly absorbed in Bhagavan. This is the process of bhakti. Hari Bol. Very nice purport.
Evil. I like that.
I'm saving the whole book. So
Very Bol.
But this is for the Instagram guy who comes arguing every morning.
Oh, yeah.
My next bomb. I'm gonna copy paste.
That guy, I mean, you arguing yesterday?
Yes, bro. Now
Wait,
he's again
yeah,
silent for 20 hours.
Prabhu, he's like a closeted Krishnaite. If he's like always coming to you, yes.
But Prabhu,
No, he's like a closeted devotee. He's like
Yes, bro.
coming to you.
Yeah.
He's trying
Yeah.
to. He's
He
trying to
learns
find
from
an
him.
excuse to associate.
Yeah. Every morning he comes usually. When I wake up, just that time he starts to spam messages.
He's waking up in Brahma Murti. He's very auspicious.
Yes.
Definitely, he's associating with you.
Yes, slowly he will be elevated.
Every morning I'm trying to wake up and remember Prabhupada and Krishna, and straight away some rascal comes to attack me.
Yeah.
I woke
They're
up and looked
forcing
at my
you to.
phone and I was like, what is this? Like, first,
Actually, those rascals, they are forcing you to, I mean, to remember Krishna and Prabhupada because you have to deal with them and quote.
Yes,
Quote like anything.
yes, Prabhu. Oh, this is a short one.
Mm.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Yara yatya shuya kosham nigirnam analo yatha. Translation. Bhakti, devotional service, dissolves the subtle body of the living entity without separate effort. Just as fire in the stomach digests all that we eat. Purport. Bhakti is in a far higher position than mukti because a person's endeavor for liberation from the material engagement is automatically realized in devotional service. If the digestive power is sufficient, then whatever we eat will be digested by the fire in the stomach. Similarly, a devotee doesn't have to try separately to attain liberation. That very service to the Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead, is the process of liberation, because to engage in the service of the Lord is to liberate oneself from material entanglements. For a devotee, liberation is no problem at all. Liberation takes place without separate endeavor. Bhakti, therefore, is far better than mukti, or the impersonalist position. The impersonalist undergoes severe penances and austerities to attain mukti, but the bhakta, simply by engaging in the bhakti process, especially in chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, immediately develops control over the tongue by chanting, and accepting the remnants of foodstuff offered to Personality of Godhead. As soon as the tongue is controlled, all other senses are controlled automatically. Sense control is the perfection of the yoga principle, and one's liberation begins immediately as soon as he engages in the service of the Lord. It is confirmed by Kapila Deva that bhakti or devotional service is gariyasi, more glorious than siddhi, liberation. It is stated in this verse that bhakti dissolves the subtle body. The spirit soul has two coverings, subtle and gross. The gross body is composed of earth, water, fire, and ether. The subtle body is composed of mind, intelligence, and ego. Of the 8 material elements, 5 are gross and 3 are subtle. We cannot see the subtle, and the soul is even more subtle. Even with the eyes, anyone with eyes can see the body, but not everyone can perceive the soul, the actual person. When we understand that the soul or the person has left the body, we cry, "Oh, my friend has left." We can perceive that the body is there, but something is obviously missing. Thus, one friend is actually different from the body. At the present moment, we say, "This is my friend." We refer to the body, but that is simply the vision of an animal. Animal thinks, "This is my dog friend, and this is my mother dog." They cannot see beyond the gross body. Similarly, we cannot see the soul. If we cannot see the minute soul, how can we hope to see God with these blind eyes? We cannot actually see one another. How, then, can we hope to see God? It is stated, Atha Sri Krishna Nama Di Na Bhavet Grahyam Indriyai. Material senses cannot appreciate Krishna's holy name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Rivol. Yes, this also. I don't know how this example we have heard millions of times, and I couldn't explain this thing. If I had told this to him, like,
Yes.
how I always forget this. Like asking this friend thing, that your friend he's the
Yeah.
body.
Who's left? Yeah. Why are
Yeah,
you crying? I mean, the body is still there.
yes, bro. The chemicals are there. He's gonna say that. What can he say? He will think, where is the friend? Is it there? Is it not? What will he speculate?
Yeah.
Speculate. It's definitely he's going to speculate or say, the science is not there yet.
I mean, he might say that by saying, "Oh, where did he go?" I mean that the friend is not here anymore. But I'm not referring to the soul and all that. I mean, he will start
Yes,
speculating.
yeah. This is
It's like a metaphor or something like.
Oh, to really trap him, right? If he says, "Oh, it's because of the development of the brain," the brain is developing a certain stage or something, then it has to, that's when, we get our consciousness, right?
trouble. Yeah.
So just bring up articles of people who have 98% of their brain not even there, but yet still they're like walking and living like a regular person. They're like
Yes,
articles
yes,
on that.
yes, yeah. I saw that one also.
Yes, bro. This
So
with like
I
with
use
yeah.
uh-huh.
Yeah, with straight face, this guy was saying to me that consciousness is only it's only the brain. He was like straight saying that. But like I should have asked him that this when your mother or anything dies, that the brain and everything is there. Just bring your mother to the kitchen table and serve him the food. Like can you eat with your mother like that? So they can't, like they are terrified. What is this? But it's the same mother. It's just more colder version of your mother. What happened?
Yeah,
Like,
Mano Prabhu, that guy, he said that oxygen, I mean, doesn't come to brain anymore. That's why ones die.
oh, like like when I use the brain, like being like people living with like 98% of the brain like missing. I
Yeah.
use that example that if they can
Yeah.
live without in certain organs and everything, and there are people who are like still living that have like chromosomes, all of these things, right? Defects.
Yeah.
And that's showing that there's something that's beyond those organs which you speak of that's actually giving life to that body.
Yes, no.
Yes, Prabhu. And the point is that those persons who have, I mean, that they have such a small portion of brain. I mean, it's not that they're completely invalids. I mean, they can perfectly function and all that, as opposed to those guys who have full 100% of brain sense, still they're dull-headed. I mean,
Yes, so yeah, I tried to explain this, but I couldn't. Sometimes in the moment you forget suddenly, you forget all these amazing
yeah,
arguments.
that's why I'm suggesting to start life comes from life after this one.
Yes,
Yes,
so
It'd be
that'd be a
nice
good
to
one.
revive this.
yeah.
I like that one. All right, so it's my turn. Open. Our present senses are incapable of seeing God. Generally, at death, we can understand that something has gone. We understand that we were seeing was not. We understand what we are seeing is not actually our friend or a lump of our friend, but a lump of matter, which is knowledge. However, one can understand before death that the body is simply a lump of matter, is called a wise man. He sees the soul through the eyes of knowledge. Those who are on the gross platform, who are like animals, can see neither the soul nor Bhagavan. The karmis, the gross fruit of workers, do not understand the distinction between body and the soul. Out of many millions of karmis, there may be one jnani, one wise man who can understand. The jnani knows that he is not the body, and without millions of jnanis, out out of many millions of jnanis, one may be actually liberated. The Mayavadis think that because they are spirit soul, they are one with the supreme. Be equal in quality does being equal in quality does not mean that one is a supreme soul. Because the Mayavadis think that they have become one with Narayana, they address one another as Narayana. They say, "You're Narayana, I am Narayana, one is Narayana." From this misconception, the idea of Durya Narayana, poor Narayana, arises. The devotees fully engaged in the service of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord do not think in this way. They think, if I am one with the Supreme, how is it that I have fallen into this condition? They know that a drop of seawater is one in quality with the vast ocean, but they also know that a drop of water is never equal to the ocean itself. Sometimes the Mayavadis worship Lord Vishnu, but they do not actually believe in the form of Lord Vishnu. They consider the image to be some imaginary form to utilize a means for self-realization. Mayavadis say that the absolute truth has no rupa, no form, but it is stated Isvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, as the supreme controller. He has an internal, blissful, and spiritual body. The word Vigraha means the supreme form, but the Mayavadis do not understand this. There are also many so-called Vaishnavas who worship Lord Vishnu with an aim of becoming one with the Supreme. They sometimes give the example of the drop of water merging into the great ocean itself. This is simply nonsense. The ocean is a combination of countless molecules of water, and it is impossible for one molecule to merge into the totality. The sunshine is a combination of countless trillions of small shining particles, and each particle has its individual identity as an atom. Because we do not have the eyes to see the smallest atomic division, we think that we are one, but actually they are not homogeneous. Similarly, although we are very small particles of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we have all different identities. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 12, Sri Krishna said, Na tvam evham jitu nasam, na tvam nime jana bahi, na che nam na bhavasyamaha, sarvatyam ataparam. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. There you go.
Hare Krishna. Krishna never says that he, Arjuna, and all the soldiers shall eventually become one. Rather, he says that everyone will retain his own individuality. Those who have complete knowledge never think that in the future they will become one with the Supreme. They simply want to remain in their constitutional position as part and parcel of Krishna. Although we are now covered by the material body can be easily dissolved by the process of Bhakti Yoga. If we are strong in Bhakti Yoga, we actually no longer have a material body but a spiritual one. We are free. When we are baffled, we want to become the husband of Goddess Lakshmi. The husband of Goddess Lakshmi is Narayana, God Himself. In this material world, we are hankering after Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, but we are frustrated in our attempts. We think, now let me become the husband of Lakshmi. Actually, no one can enjoy Lakshmi but Narayana. Even exalted demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are inferior to Lord Narayana, but we are so foolish that we are thinking of assuming Narayana's position or making Narayana into Daridra Narayana, the poor man in the street. The Shastras never equalize Narayana with anyone, not even Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva. What to speak of foolish rascals? One may ask why Narayana has created us, why it is we are part and parcel of Narayana. Eko Bahusyam. Why has Narayana become many? He has created us for enjoyment. Anandamaya Bhyasad. He has created us in the same way a gentleman accepts a wife. If one takes on a wife, he will beget children. A man takes on the responsibility of maintaining a wife and children because he thinks that through them he will enjoy life. In the material world, we see that during the evening a man tries to enjoy life with his wife, children, and friends. Therefore, he takes on so many responsibilities. This is supposed to be Ananda, bliss, but because it takes place in the material world, the Ananda is converted into something distasteful. Yeah. However, we can enjoy this Ananda when we are with our Supreme Father Krishna. We're all children of the Supreme Father. And in Bhagavad Gita 14.4, Krishna claims all species of life as his children. Sarvayonishu kaunteya murtayaha sambhavantiyaha tasam brahma mahadyonir aham bija pradaha pitam. It is to be understood that it should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving Father. The Supreme Father, Sri Krishna, has created us for his enjoyment, not to create distress. Although we are Krishna's children, we have given up our Supreme Father because we wish to enjoy ourselves independently. Consequently, we are suffering. If a rich man's son gives up his home and tries to enjoy life independently, he simply suffers. It is to our benefit to return home, back to Godhead, to enjoy ourselves with our original Father Krishna. This will give us happiness. Krishna is full of all opulence. He possesses in totality wealth, strength, beauty, fame, knowledge, and renunciation. He possesses everything in unlimited quantity. If we return to our original Father, we can enjoy ourselves with Him unlimitedly. It is not that we can enjoy ourselves independent of Krishna. Naukarmins say that to enjoy ourselves, we have to become one with Krishna. In the material world, our Father gives us our birth, and we are an entity separate from Him. If we are suffering, do we say, "My dear Father, I am suffering. Will you please once again make me will you please once again make me one with you?" Is this a very good proposal? The Father says, "I have begotten you separately to enjoy yourself. You remain separate, and I remain separate, and in this way we will enjoy. How are you? Now you are asking to become one with me. What is this nonsense?" Oh, Krishna.
This is amazing.
Yeah, I heard it in some lecture. I mean, but instead of father, he gave example with mother. I mean, the point is the same. Yeah, can I? Yes. Can I become one with you? Oh, Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu, this was perfect. Just this Bhakti Prabhu should have read this. Because he was
Yeah, I mean,
asking for me that why did Krishna create us and why we are in this situation like this, that
which
Yeah.
Peru?
Bhakti Prabhu, he asked like this. So this part would have answered perfectly.
Yeah,
Everything.
yeah. That's a nice answer. Why Krishna created us? I mean, why God?
Yes, like
Prabhupada gave example. I mean, like a mother have a few children. I mean, maybe 5. So one of them is saying, you know, I'm suffering. Can I become one with you and return back to your womb? I mean, what is this nonsense? Uh, of course, yeah. Of course, in terms of material
Over.
world, we cannot do that. But in terms of, I mean, God, I mean, He will allow us if we want it so badly. I mean, but this is nonsense.
what is this?
Yeah, because
What?
chapter 14, right? You
Okay.
were saying
14,
that this is chapter 14.
14:4.
Are you still trying to find chapter, bro?
Hare Krishna Pranjal Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances and glories to
Punjab.
Srila Prabhupada.
Angela Prabhu Dandat Prabhupada. And it's text
Krishna
number
Punjab.
33. Is it?
Please come humble weaknesses. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
44 Prabhu. 14:4.
You're looking for the verse? Bhagavad Gita?
No, Prabhu, just this. I want to share it with
Mm.
Prabhu.
Oh yeah. And why that guy came to arguing with you this morning? I mean, you sent him that book, right? Life comes from life. He should have read it.
Oh no, I just today sent it. Okay.
Oh, you
Okay.
just sent that. Okay. And then tell him to read, and then most of his questions will be done.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, I don't remember from whom, but I heard this advice. I mean, yeah, I remember one Mataji in Russia. He shared his nice experience of Sankirtan and distributing books. So he met one man. He was an atheist, and he was arguing with her. So she said, "Okay, you want to challenge our philosophy? You please try this one." And she gave him "Life Comes from Life." Oh no, yeah, and he bought it. I mean, so
Yes, Prabhu.
very nicely encourage him to buy the book.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you want a challenge? Okay, try this one.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, I need to do that.
I like that tactic.
Yeah, and as for Mayavadis is concerned, I remember, of course, I'm sure this is from Prabhupada, but I heard this from devotees, and I think from Sundargopal Prabhu as well. So for Mayavadis, sorry, we should give them Ishopanishad.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
That's a
Because
fact.
actually, yeah, there are some nuances in terms of which book, which book to give.
Yeah, that's true.
Life comes from life. Atheists,
Yeah.
Mayavadis, or
Ishopanishad.
impersonalists, is
Yeah,
your punishment.
exactly.
And for the common man, maybe Bhagavad Gita. Or,
Yeah, maybe a science of self-realization is
Yeah,
good for us.
that's good for common.
Yeah.
And the Christians, I give perfect questions, perfect answers usually.
PF,
Yeah.
PQ,
Because
PQ.
personally, my first book was Life Comes from Life. Then I purchased the Science of Self-Realization.
Yes, Prabhu. Okay, Hare Krishna, 2 more pages. The Mayavadis want to become one with the Supreme because they are suffering in the material world. Krishna has created us to enjoy ourselves in his company, but due to our desire for independent enjoyment, we are not doing that. Consequently, we are suffering in this material world, and because we are suffering, we are thinking of becoming one with our Father. It is Maya's business to try to build up the living entity, to puff him up And Maya's last snare is to make the living entity think that he can become one with God. Mayavadis think that becoming one with the Supreme is the highest perfection. But this is not perfection because our original constitutional position is to enjoy the company of Krishna. Friends sit together in a room and enjoy one another's company. What enjoyment can one have by himself? Variety is the mother of enjoyment, and real enjoyment is being in Krishna's company. Therefore, devotees never desire to become one with the Supreme. It is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who says, Mama Janmani Janmanishvare Bhavatad Bhakti Rahaitu Kitvai. My dear Lord, I do not want to put an end to the process of birth and death. I am not anxious for mukti. Let me go ahead and take one birth after another. It does not matter. Simply let me engage in your service birth after birth. 6 This is real Ananda. Unless we are fully qualified devotees, we cannot enter into the Vaikuntha planets. We have to live outside in the Brahma Jyoti. If we desire this, Krishna will give us the opportunity. After all, Krishna is everything. He is Brahma Jyoti and Paramatma also. If we want to become one with the Supreme, we will be allowed to live outside the Vaikuntha planets in the Brahma Jyoti. However, that position is not eternal. As we have explained before, we cannot live eternally in the Brahma Jyoti because we want variety. Without variety, there is no enjoyment. In all conditions, the pure devotee is liberated. He may engage in some occupation or business, but he is always thinking of how to serve Krishna. And in this way, he is automatically liberated. It is not that he thinks of becoming one with the Supreme and attaining liberation. Rather, his liberation lies in his personal relationship with the Supreme Lord himself. Ribo. Okay, now we can go 6 prayers.
Evil.
Ribo.
Yeah, I remember Prabhupada was saying that merging into the Brahma Jyoti is like actually hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
didn't
merging
expect-
with the body of the Lord is even more.
Oh,
Yes. Yeah, this we were talking some time ago. The
There's a difference between, I mean, merging with the Brahman, with the effulgence of the Lord, and his body.
yes, Prabhu.
whoa. So it's even more hellish just to be
Yeah, I mean, I can try this. I mean, I can find
Very-
this verse for you.
yes, send
very
it.
possible.
That's right. I didn't know that there
I mean, I
like,
need to
you
go
can-
through our conversation because I shared with you. I mean, this is from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Maybe you can. Okay, I will find.
We
yeah,
were
because I'll
I mean,
yes,
was talking yeah, Prabhu.
maybe try to Adilila. Paramatma. No.
Hmm.
Can you search Adilila? I think. I think it was maybe Anti-Lila or Madhya. I don't remember exactly. Merging. So what? Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. The second one.
oh
Paramatma. No. You
This
open. Yeah. Oh, yes. Exactly. This is a nice one. I was
6
astonished when I saw this from Tatwait Prabhu, I believe.
Wow.
Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya continued. There are two kinds of Sayuji Mukti, merging into the Brahman effulgence and merging into the personal body of the Lord. Merging into the Lord's body is even more abominable than merging into his effulgence.
Wow.
I didn't remember that it was this directly said. It was just like we remember.
So it means that those yogis who are meditating on Paramatma, in some kind of sense, that even more worse than the Mayavadis, an ordinary Mayavadis. Yeah, you can go through this, Manaprabhu.
Oh, thank you, bro. Okay, so you want me to read it?
Yes, Prabhu, we can read.
Okay, I can.
Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
yeah. Please read.
Okay. According to the opinion of Mayavadi Vedantists, the living entity's ultimate success is to merge into the impersonal Brahman. The impersonal Brahman or bodily effulgence of the Supreme Lord is known as Brahmaloka or Siddha Loka. According to the Brahma Samhita, chapter 5, verse 40, Yasha Prabha Yasya Prabha Pavato Jagatanan Kote. The material universe are generated from the bodily rays of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yogis who follow the principle of Prajapati, Panjatanjali,
Patanjali. Yeah.
Patanjali, accept the personality of the absolute truth, but they want to merge into the transcendental body of the Supreme Lord. That is their desire. Being the greatest authority, the Supreme Person, the Supreme Lord can easily allow many millions of living entities to merge into his body. The origin of everything is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan, and his bodily effulgence is known as the Brahmajyoti, the Brahmaloka or Siddha Loka. Thus, Brahmaloka or Siddha Loka is a place where many spark-like living entities, parts and parcel of the Supreme Lord, are assembled. Because these living entities do not wish to keep their individual existence, they are combined and allowed to remain in Brahmaloka, like so many atomic particles of sunshine emanating from the sun. The word Siddha is very significant. Siddha refers to one who has realized the Brahman effulgence and who has complete knowledge that the living entity is not a material atom, but a spiritual spark. This understanding is described in the Bhagavad Gita as Brahma Samhita and as Brahma Bhuta. This condition state, the living entity is known as Jiva Bhuta, or the living force within matter. Brahma Bhuta living entities are allowed to stay in the Brahma Loka or Siddha Loka, but unfortunately, they sometimes again fall into the material world because they are not engaged in devotional service. This is supported by the verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, beginning ye Ayin Ani Ra Ara Vin Aksha. Correct? Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, Chapter 2, verse 32. The semi-liberated, semi-liberated souls falsely claim to be liberated, but unless one engages in devotional service to the Lord, he is still material contaminated. Therefore, these living entities have been described as vimukta mania, meaning that they falsely consider themselves liberated, although their intelligence is not yet purified. Although these living entities undergo severe austerities to rise to the platform of Siddha Loka, they cannot remain there perpetually, for they are bereft of Ananda, bliss. Even though these living entities attain the Brahma Bhuta stage and realize the supreme personality of Godhead through his bodily effulgence, they nonetheless fall down due to neglecting the Lord's service. They do not properly utilize whatever little knowledge they have of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not attaining Ananda or bliss, they come down to the material world to enjoy. This is certainly a fall down for one who is actually liberated. This is certainly a fall down for one who is actually liberated. The Bhaktas consider such a fall down equal to achieving a place in hell. The followers of the Pantajali, the yoga system, actually wants to merge into the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This indicates that they do not want to engage in his service, despite their knowledge of him, and thus their position is even more abominable.
Yeah,
then
you see,
that
Prabhu, they know of. I mean, they know about Paramatma, but still they want to merge with the body. I mean,
Yes, Prabhu.
this.
yeah,
Sundar Gopal Prabhu stressed on this.
wow.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
Wow. I
Not that
I was
they do
wondering
not know.
about their
They perfectly
Paramount.
know. They
What?
perfectly know, but they don't want to serve him.
Yes,
That's
Prabhu.
why they
That's
want
why
to merge.
they want to merge in him to be
Yeah.
God.
Yes, Prabhu.
What?
So then they're without
Wow.
service and they can be happy because it's
So
not.
they even so these yogis are even more worse than ordinary Mayavadis, because Mayavadis, they simply do not know about Paramatma and what
Yeah.
to speak of Bhagavan, but these ones perfectly knows.
Yes, Prabhu.
Oh, oh my gosh. These yogis meditate on the four-handed Vishnu form of the Lord in order to merge into his body. The Jali system describes the form of the Lord as the Keshala Karma Keshala. Wait, how do you? Oh wait, Keshala Karma
Kalesha Karma Vipaka
Mm,
Shair Aparamrita
mm.
Aparamstaha Purusha Vishesha Ishvara. I think.
That's a hard
Is
one.
that
I
is
think
that
it's a
11?
prose. I think it's a prose.
Baroque.
I'm not sure. Maybe it's
Oh,
a part of the verse, so it's hard to
okay.
count the syllables.
I see. I see.
Vani quotes.
Perfect.
This is exactly the purport.
Oh, yeah, this is the same purpose. Is it only? Yeah, it's only maybe in this one. Okay.
You
This
can't find.
Patanjali system is fully described in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. This eightfold yoga system, Ashtanga yoga.
Mhm. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is a person who does not partake in a miserable material life. The yogis accept the entity of the Supreme Person in one of their mantras as Sa Purvensam Api Guru Kala Vache Chiti. As such a person is always supreme and not influenced by the element of time. The followers of Pantanjali system therefore accept the eternity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet, according to them, the Purushas Sundya Prati Prasarvaha Kevalam Swayam Pratistha Va Siti Saktir Iti. They believe that in the perfectional stage, the conception of Purusha is banished. According to their description, Chiti Saktir Iti, they believe that when one becomes perfect, he cannot remain a person. This yoga system is therefore abominable because its final conception is impersonal. Wait. Wait. Where am I?
The beginning.
The beginning. Okay. In the beginning, these yogis accept the Supreme Personality Godhead, but they ultimately give up the order to become impersonal. They are not. They are most unfortunate because because although they have a personal conception of the absolute truth, they neglect to remember to render devotional service to the Lord and thus fall down again into the material world. As mentioned above, this idea is supported by Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, Chapter 2, verse 32. Arya Ahu Ya Krichirina Aram Patam Tataha Patanye Ti Ato antirta yudva akiryaha. Due to neglecting the lowest feet of the Lord, these yogis fall down into the material existence. Panti aha. Consequently, the path of yoga is this path of yoga is more abominable than the impersonalist path. This conception is also supported by Lord Kapila in the following verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, chapter 29, verse 13. Haribol.
Ibo.
Haribol. Yes, Prabhu. Until when they are conditioned, they think that yes, there is Purusha and it's the most highest person is the enjoyer. But they think that when they become perfect, this enjoyer
Yeah.
no more there because they are the enjoyer now. So
Yeah.
there is no more anyone to
And-
serve after that.
And it's interesting because this Paramatma realization is higher than Brahman realization, but still, you see the last sentence. Consequently, this path of yoga is more abominable than the impersonalist path.
Yes,
I
Prabhu.
mean, it's interesting.
Yeah, they may be better a little bit.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, they perfectly know that the absolute truth is the person, but eventually they don't want. They simply don't want to render a devotional service.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah.
This is
It's
similar
interesting.
theme comes to my mind is that when there is a animal like dog and there's a human, when this
Mm.
dog is acting like a dog, it's okay. It's good for the dog. But when human acts like a dog, it's bad for the dog. So it's much more like it's bad for the soul, I mean. So it's much worse
Yeah.
situation because the human knows, but the dog doesn't know. So it's really similar
Mhm.
situation.
And Srila Prabhupada said, and also, I mean, it's surely something. I mean, it's surely somewhere in the book also that the last snare of Maya, that at one moment, all eight siddhas, I mean, become. I mean, how to say? I mean, all eight siddhas are manifested in the. I mean, in the devotee. So it is the last snare that. Oh, now I can fly. Now I can
Yes, right.
become bigger than the smallest and all that. So and you completely forgot about Krishna and all that. I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah, I think we read past that
Yes, bro.
in the book.
Yes, bro. We went that.
Why this browser is always not full screen?
Yeah, here was this is to make the living entity think that he can become one with God.
Mm.
Mhm.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Dekor.
Cheto darpanamarjanam bhavamahadavagninirvapanam shreyah kairava chandrika vitaranam vidyabadu jivanam anandam buddhivardhanam pratibadam purnamritasvadanam sarvatma snapanam param vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam.
Nam namakari paunda nitisarva saktis takta pitani amitasmanya kala itadrishita bhakipa bhagavama mapidur deva mitrishamiha janinanuraga.
Тринadapi sunicena tarorapi sahishnana amanina manadena kirtaniya sada harihi.
Nadanam najanam nasundarim kavitam vachagadisha kamayye mama janmani janmanishvare bhavatad bhaktirahaitu tvayi.
Ainanda tanu kinkaram patitam mam visvame bhavam puto kripayatava para pankadas tito tulisa trisam pichintaya.
Nainam galadashudharayam badanam gadgada ruthaya giram polakair nishitam vapahu kada tavanama grahane bhavishyati.
Yugayitam nimeshena chakshusha pravirshayitam shunyayitam jagat sarvam govinda virahena me.
Alisya va pararatumam Ardarshanam mahatam kurutva Yatatatava vitadalampato Matpraninastu sabra naparaha.
Ibo.
The glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtana moment is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than the tree, devoid of all sense false prestige, and he should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth.
O son of Maharaj Nanda, Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet.
Haribol. Oh my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated? So, yeah, man, probably you can continue.
My mic was muted.
Oh,
Oh my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up when when will the hairs of my body stand on end when at the recitation of your name?
O Govinda, feeling your separations, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence.
I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipable Lord unconditionally.
Lord Kapila Dev ki jai.
Jai,
Panchatattva ki
Jai,
jai. Shri
Jai,
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai.
Jai,
Jai,
Nanda ki jai.
Jai,
Jai,
Ki jai. Nitai
Jai.
Premanande Hari Hari.
Hari,
Hey,
Hari,
hey,
Bo,
hey, bo, bo.
Hari.